Welcome to another Tuesday Tidbits with Treu Seeds. It's hard to believe, but we're a month closer to planting the 2022 crop. This month, we're going to look at maximizing fertilizer to achieve our yield goals. This week, we're going to talk about nitrogen. Nitrogen is one of the most common inputs in corn production, and it's also one of the most costly. So we're going to talk about how do we maximize our fertilizer to achieve our yield goals. But before we do that, we're going to take a step back and look at how our corn plant uses nitrogen throughout the growing season. There are 4 critical times that affect the grain yield of the corn plant. The first one is at or just before V6, when the plant is determining the kernel rows around the ear. The second is 1 to 2 weeks before pollination, when the number of kernels along the length of the ear are determined. The next critical time is during pollination, when the maximum number of kernels that can be produced is determined. And last is the latter part of grain fill, when the weight of the individual kernels is determined. Let's dig a little bit deeper to determine when the corn plant uses the most nitrogen. Iowa State University put together the chart that shows that rapid nitrogen uptake occurs between V8 to tassel. By R1, the corn plant has only taken up a little over 60% of its total nitrogen requirements for the growing season. The rest of the nitrogen is taken up during the grain fill period. Nitrogen during grain fill comes from nitrogen uptake from the soil and remobilized nitrogen from vegetative tissues. Creating a plan that provides the correct amount of nitrogen throughout the growing season is key to maximizing yields. As we start planning for nitrogen fertilizer, it takes 1.2 pounds of nitrogen per bushel of corn. If you have credits from manure or a previous crop, you can also subtract those. Corn on corn requires more nitrogen, especially early on, to assist with residue breakdown. To increase efficiency of nitrogen per bushel of corn, use more applications of nitrogen as shown in the visual. To maximize the nitrogen that is getting applied throughout the growing season, it's recommended to apply prior to peak uptakes and applying sulfur with the nitrogen. Timing of nitrogen is critical. As we saw in the chart before, the more times nitrogen is applied, the less nitrogen per bushel is required. It's common to apply 50 units of nitrogen pre-plant and come back with the remaining amount of nitrogen prior to tassel. Sulfur assists the plant in taking up the nitrogen, which is why it's recommended to apply sulfur anytime you're applying nitrogen. We recommend applying a minimum of 15 to 20 pounds of sulfur during the growing season. 70% of nitrogen loss occurs below ground from leaching or denitrification. Applying nitrogen more than once throughout the growing season is a great way to reduce nitrogen loss. Nitrogen stabilizers also extend availability of nitrogen in the root zone and reduce nitrogen loss. Nitrogen stabilizers are an economical way to protect the nitrogen that is being applied. There are many tools that can be used to monitor in-season soil nitrogen. If shortfalls occur, action can be considered. If you have any interest in learning more about granular insights, please let us know. We'd be happy to meet. There are many tools that we can use to maximize the nitrogen to achieve your yield goals. If you have any questions or would like assistance in implementing strategies to maximize your nitrogen this growing season, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to come out and assist with that. Thank you for watching and have a great day.